Losing weight is hard. Losing weight was by far the hardest thing that I ever had to do. And if you're new here, hello, my name is Jasmine and welcome back to the channel. And in this video, I want to talk to you guys about why I even decided to lose weight in the first place and kind of just briefly talk about my weight loss journey. I'm hoping that by the time we finish this video, for those of you guys who may need to lose some weight, you'll be more motivated and inspired to get that weight off so you can feel better about yourself and live a much healthier life. So I was not always overweight. I was overweight in my younger years. So I'm 35, by the way, but I was overweight like in elementary school, middle school. I experienced my parents getting a divorce, and I went from being in a two-parent household to being into a one-parent household and then moving in with my grandma. So I think just all of that happened when I was like 5 or 6. I think that was just a lot on me emotionally. And so I think I was using food to kind of cope, being in a whole new school that young at 6 and 7 years old. And then on top of that, I was the only Black kid in my classrooms. So, just like a lot of stuff going on when I was younger. And so I did put on a lot of weight at that time. And I didn't start losing weight until I started playing basketball. So I started playing basketball in 9th grade. I was very tall and people were saying, oh, she should play basketball. So I did, and I lost so much weight. I got very, very thin, and I was able to keep that weight off all of high school and all of college because I also played basketball in college. But once I graduated college, I think I was like 23, 24, somewhere up in there. I wasn't moving as much. So I was still eating like crap because when you're young like that, you can eat whatever you want and still, maintain a healthy weight. But once I graduated college, I'm no longer walking around on campus and I'm getting into adult life. I slowly started to put on that weight. And then it really started getting put on even quicker the more miserable I got at my 9 to 5. I think I was using food again as a way to cope with depression and anxiety and stuff like that. And I ballooned. Okay, I got big as hell. And it's so crazy because Facebook will remind you who you used to be, right? Like if you go on Facebook and you'll see it say, 5 years ago, you were doing this. And then you look at a picture, you're like, dang, I was skinny. Like, what happened? And so I remember I was about 27, 28, and Facebook showed me some pictures from college, and I was looking snatched. And I was like, dang, I want to get back to that so bad. And just so you guys know, I'm 6'3", and I was 340 pounds at my heaviest. So I started doing OnlyFans when I turned 29. During COVID, I started doing OnlyFans. And it's like I knew I was a big girl, but I didn't know how big I had gotten until like I started taking pictures and stuff, trying to promote my OnlyFans. And I just started not feeling comfortable in different lingerie sets, bathing suit sets. And I was like, I don't like this. Like, I don't like the way I look. I was taking longer to take pictures. I wasn't looking forward to making content anymore just because I wasn't comfortable in how I looked, but I knew I needed to do something to make the money for the OnlyFans. And so I was like, okay, I got to do something, and I got to do something quickly because I'm not enjoying this. And then on top of that, like, going from working like at a physical location to working at home when, during COVID, like a lot of people were, you get very sluggish. And so I was putting on more weight even quicker because now I'm ordering DoorDash. I'm sitting on the couch all day. I don't have to go to work. I don't have to walk too far to go to the bathroom. I'm just putting on all this weight. And I noticed that my energy was starting to get really bad. Like I was always tired. At that time I had my house and there were 3 floors. So there was the first floor, second floor, and the third floor. I would never go to the third floor. The third floor was kind of set up like a basement, but it wasn't a basement, but that's kind of how it was set up. Like it was a theater room, and I would never go up there because it just take too much out of me. Like going up one flight of stairs just got to be too much. Even just walking, doing the simplest things got to be too much. I noticed I was always sweating, always hot, and I just didn't like the way I felt. And I would remember how I used to feel in college, being athletic, playing Division I sports. So, you're full of energy, and then getting to a point in your life where you're tired and everything hurts. And I didn't like the way I looked anymore. That was a lot. So I decided to hire a personal trainer. And that changed my entire life. So this is the thing. A lot of times when you want to change something about yourself, it's going to require you to get around new people. And my whole family is obese. And so it was hard for me to change who I was when I'm always around people who overeat. And I noticed that even in the friendships that I had, or not overeating, but just eating in general was a way to celebrate each other. It was a way to hang out and have a reason to see each other. You would bond over eating, going to lunch, going to dinner, going to brunch, stuff like that, going to happy hour and getting drinks and appetizers. Like that was just always the way that I interacted with other people. It was always food involved, okay? And so when I realized I wanted to lose weight and I hired my personal trainer, like just seeing how small he was in comparison, like how big I was, that was an eye opener. I was like, oh shit, like I really am big. Because if you're always around big people, you don't feel as big. And I realized like I'm pretty big. I'm pretty big. And then like, the first few sessions, he's showing me how to do certain stuff and I couldn't do it. Like I couldn't do a lunge. I couldn't do anything, but I used to be able to do those things when I was playing basketball, right? And it just put like a lot of shame and guilt on me. Like, how did I allow myself to get this big? Like, why didn't I catch this sooner? And I'm so glad that I did hire my personal trainer because he held me accountable. I had tried to lose weight before, of course, but I was never successful with it because you would tell yourself, all right, I'm going to eat better tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and you still not eating better, right? No one really knows that you're on this diet except for you. So there's no one to really answer to when you don't do what you're supposed to do. But when you hire a personal trainer and he's telling you what to eat and then weeks go by and you don't look no smaller, like, they're going to ask, like, are you eating right? And then you got to explain and come up with excuses and then come up with an excuse for the excuse and an explanation. It just gets to be very draining to keep lying. So it gets to the point, or for me, it got to the point where it's like, okay, let me just go ahead and do this. Let me eat this properly because I'm running out of lies. Like, I'm tired of making excuses for why I'm not eating what I'm supposed to be eating. And I needed that. A lot of times we think we can do everything on our own. And don't get me wrong, like, we are very strong people. We are very resilient people, but you also do need someone to hold you accountable too. You're not perfect at all. And so having someone hold me accountable, having someone to kind of quote unquote answer to, in a sense, it forced me to be consistent with eating right. It forced me to get serious about my weight. And it just really put things into perspective for me. And just listening, he would always tell me things that he was eating. And I'll be like, dang, that's all he ate? That's it? Because I'm this big woman, I'm overweight, so I'm eating way more than he does. And so it just made me realize, like, my food, my habits have really gotten out of hand. And I got to fix this. And so when I started locking in, because for the first 2 months that I had my personal trainer, I was kind of bullshitting. Like, I was going to the sessions, but I wasn't really doing what I was supposed to be doing in the kitchen. And the kitchen is how you lose weight. Okay, that's where the weight loss really takes place. So for the first 2 months, I was just kind of bullshitting around. I wasn't really locking in. But when we did sit down and he was like, I noticed you haven't lost any weight. You kind of look the same when I first saw you. When we sat down and we talked, and I just kind of explained to him things that I was struggling with, he helped me realize, like, no matter what you're going through, you still have to move your body. No matter what you're going through, you still have to eat most of your meals at home if you don't want to put on weight. And that was something I didn't realize. One thing that I would always do when I was losing weight before is, well, I'm gonna just lose 20 pounds and then I'll be able to go back to Chick-fil-A like how I was. Then I'll be able to eat at McDonald's like how I was. My personal trainer let me know that I can never go back to that. I will always have to live a life, if I don't want to gain weight, to where I eat most of my food at home. That's the secret to keeping weight off, and I didn't realize that. And so he opened my mind and made me realize, like, this isn't just something to do temporarily till I get to whatever goal weight I want and I can go back to who I used to be. I have to make the decision that moving forward, I'm going to be completely different forever. Of course, you're going to have days where you may not eat the best, but I have to make the decision that I'm going to be a changed person. I can't go back to fast food breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I cannot go back to always drinking soda and never having water. I cannot go back to needing a pint of Ben and Jerry's ice cream every single night. I can never go back to that. And it just changed my whole mindset on everything. And I'm thankful that I hired my personal trainer. He's actually the reason I became plant-based. He's plant-based. And so, just listening to his meals and seeing how healthy he was and how healthy his wife was, I was like, I really want to try that. And I did. And I'm so glad that I did that. I think weight loss is so hard for a lot of people. One, because you have to accept the fact that you'll no longer be able to eat the foods in the amount of foods that you used to eat and think that you will not put on weight. That's number one. Like, you can never go back to that. But the second thing is, weight loss is hard because, one, you have to accept that. And then two, it's going to take you a lot longer than you think. A lot of times my approach to weight loss was, it's only going to take me about a month to lose 20 pounds, right? But that's not the case. True fat loss, so not weight loss, but fat loss, that takes years, depending on how big you are. I was 100 pounds overweight, so that took me damn near 2 years to lose. And I didn't do it through, weight loss surgery or Ozempic or anything. I just did the old-fashioned way, eat less, move more. And that took 2 years. In that 2 years of me trying to get this weight off, I completely changed. The way I prioritize myself changed. The excuses I allowed myself to have changed. I stopped making excuses for why I can't go to the gym. The foods I used to eat, or the foods I was eating, changed, right? My mindset was changing. Delayed gratification. Never had that before. When you're trying to lose weight or fat, I should be saying fat. When you're trying to lose fat, when you're on a fat loss journey, that's the correct term. When you're on a fat loss journey, when you first start, yes, you will probably, depending on how big you are, you could probably lose 10 or 20 pounds in a month. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you don't even really have to do that much to lose that, right? But after month 1 and after month 2, girl, that slows all the way down. Healthy fat loss is a half a pound to 1.5, 2 pounds a week. Imagine eating less, working out every day. Let's just say every day, even though you do need to take a day off, but let's just say every day you're doing that 7 days a week. So for a whole month, 31 days, you only lose a half a pound a week. When you get on that scale, the scale went from 298 to 296. It took you a whole month to do that. It makes you feel like, dang, something ain't working. Like, why is it so slow? It makes you want to give up. It really makes you want to give up. The mental stamina that you develop on a fat loss journey is out of this world, because you will have so many weeks where you're like, okay, I know for a fact I had to lose at least 1 pound, right? And then say 0.8 pounds lost. And you're like, what? I didn't even make a whole pound. Like, that's crazy. That changes you. You start to see everything differently. You start to see that the things you want the most in life take the longest to earn. And then that mindset bleeds into other aspects of your life. Like, so many people want to lose weight so quickly. It's like, if they could be skinny tomorrow, they'll do it. But that doesn't exist, at least not in a healthy way. That does not exist. In order to keep that off, you got to lose it slowly, because of the change that you make as a person. That has to change, right? So that's why weight loss was by far the hardest thing I ever did. But I'm so glad that I did it. Like, looking back at it, that was the best decision I ever made for myself. Because, one, I was already pre-diabetic. I already had high blood pressure. My blood pressure was like 150 over 90. And I wasn't even on blood pressure medicine back then. Now, for me, my blood pressure sits around like 116 over 70. Like, that is superb. Like, That is superb blood pressure. Like, that's crazy, right? I'm no longer pre-diabetic. I no longer have high cholesterol. So it's just so many things that changed. My skin got clear. Like, the way my energy level is crazy. Like, I sleep through the whole night. I'm not tossing and turning and waking up because I can't catch my breath. Like, my whole quality of life has changed since losing all of that weight. And I really hope that this video, if you do have any type of weight to lose, like, I really hope you do it. I really hope you do it. And I had thyroid disease, okay? So I had hyperactive thyroidism. So my thyroid was moving too quickly. I was on medicine during this time that I lost weight, but that whole excuse of, oh, I have thyroid issues, if that is your case, then why are you not getting your levels checked and getting on the medications to make your thyroid levels normal so that you can lose the weight and live a better life? If that's the excuse you want to run with. If you want to run with the excuse of, oh, well, my metabolism is slow. Okay, so then why are you not weighing out your foods? Why are you not measuring your foods? Why are you not counting your calories? Because what I'm telling you is this. My life has gotten so much better since losing all of that weight. The way I feel about myself, the way I show up for myself, all through that weight loss journey. The transformation that I made through that weight loss journey, I'm nothing like who I used to be. All because I learned delayed gratification. All because I learned to show up for myself. All because I learned to let go of the excuses that I had. All because I decided to take control of my life. And something else, one thing I didn't used to I didn't agree with the statement back then, but I do agree with it now. If you can't control what you put in your mouth, how can you control being an entrepreneur? Like, how can you control yourself as a successful entrepreneur? And again, I didn't always think that was true because there are plenty of entrepreneurs who are overweight, right? But I do think for the majority that is true. There's so much self-control that you have to learn in entrepreneurship, that you have to learn in weight loss. And like I said, the things that you learn through your weight loss journey, that bleeds into all aspects of your life. You become more disciplined, not just with your nutrition and, working out. You become more disciplined with the way you show up in your marriage. You become more disciplined in the way you show up for your family, the way you show up for your business, the way you show up for anything, because you have truly become a disciplined person. So, if you are struggling with losing weight, I'm going to encourage you to lose that weight. I don't care what age you are. I started my weight loss journey, I think I was 31. I'm 35 now. So yeah, I think it was like 30 going on 31. Do it. Do it. I promise you, you will be so happy that you did. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, make sure you guys join the Patreon. The link is down below. Subscribe to the channel and leave a comment. Let me know, are you struggling with weight loss? Are you going to start that weight loss journey? I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say, and I'll see you guys in my next video.